Welcome to the Pack Design Awards awards show, brought to you by WineBusiness Monthly. My name is Erin Kirschenmann, the managing editor of WineBusiness Monthly, and it is my joy to be here with you today as we celebrate innovation in all sorts of wine packaging. One of the things I love about this competition is that we're looking at some of the best classic packages, our 750 milliliter bottles, as well as new types of packaging, including cans, boxes, and even some cardboard we have in this competition. With me today is Sarah Brown, staff writer for the Wine Analytics Report and the writer of our Pack Design Spotlight, which you can see in each issue of WineBusiness Monthly. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
Thank you, Erin. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today for my very first webinar with WineBusiness Monthly. The Pack Design Awards have been going on for over a decade now in an effort to bring together wineries, designers, and packaging specialists to celebrate the innovation and creativity that goes into making these designs.
And we wouldn't be here without our partner Outshinery, who has graciously provided us with beautiful imagery of each and every submission. We also wouldn't be here without our sponsors for this webinar and award show, Amcor and G3 Label. We'd like to thank all of them for being partners in this incredible competition. Now, to judge this competition, we needed to look outside of WineBusiness Monthly and our packaging vendors. This year, we had an incredible array of judges, and I'm very excited that all of them have signed up to be part of this competition. 3 of them are returning this year. Sarah Schneider, Consulting Wine and Spirits Editor, Evan Goldstein, President and Chief Education Officer of Full Circle Wine Solutions, and Curtis Mann, the Group Vice President for Wine, Beer, and Spirits at Albertson's company. Joining us and providing some new insight were Kathryne Bosco, Wine and Beer Manager for HEB in Texas, TJ Douglas, Founder and CEO of the Urban Grape in Boston and in Washington, D.C., Andrew Walleck, COO of E-Tailor Wine Access, and Kelly E. Carter, a writer, who's provided some of the greatest insights I've seen in a long, long time. Thank you to each and every one of these judges for providing thoughtful critique, insight, and in some cases, some hilarious responses to each of our packages. All right, I think it's time to start looking at who's actually won.
Yeah,
Sarah?
Let's get to it. So our very first category today is going to be our classics category. Now, these are going to be any traditional glass bottle, 750 milliliters. And, I was really surprised with some of the innovative designs that we saw this year for the classics category. So let's get to it. So in third place for classics, it was the Coppola Diamond Collection with their 2023 Pinot Grigio. What I really loved about this design, Erin, was the use of teal, that teal blue. It's just so bright. It's so effervescent. It just really grabs your eye.
It pops off the shelf. And I particularly love the way that they've incorporated the diamonds on this. I know with some of Coppola's other Diamond Collection series, there's a gold wire that exists outside the bottle or on the label. This one evokes the Diamond Collection without having that additional packaging. And what's really cool about this is it's low alcohol, right? Lower alcohol. They list the calorie count, not just on the label, but the capsule as well, and then reiterate it on the back with the rest of the nutrition information. And this is a trend that we've seen a lot in our submissions this year.
Yes, we have. We really see that our consumers are really looking for more information, more, like dietary clues, I guess you could say, to really make the right choice when they're in the wine aisle at the supermarket. And I think this one really just gives you all you need to know.
Absolutely. In second place, along those same lines, we have the Zolo Zero Malbec Rosé. Fantastic way to say that this is zero alcohol.
It's in the name. Right? It's fantastic.
Well, even the large zero on top, it looks like it's just part of a regular wine label, right? It does. It makes you think that it's zero without overtly saying zero alcohol on it.
I think it is very well integrated, and I think it just looks very clean, very chic, very classic, and modern too.
As somebody who's playing around with non-alcoholic wines, everything about this label makes me want to pick it up. And I do love the nutrition information on the back. Again, it's not mandatory yet, but it sounds like it will be something that is in the future. And so I love that these brands are just taking the step forward and saying, we're going to put the nutrition information on the label.
They really are putting themselves ahead of the curve.
Yeah. And then, of course, in first place, we have MB.
Yes, the 2016 Pinot Noir from Mumtazi Bakinski. I absolutely loved the color palette that they used on this one, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I love the abstract feel of it, but what makes this design really sing for me is the back label, because it's such a small amount of text. It's so short, but everything in each of those words conveys exactly what is happening with this abstract painting. These are the wildflowers that grow along their vineyard. And it gives me all I need to know about the contents of the wine inside. Just very smart, very good use of wording on the back label.
Yes, and as one of our judges noted, the use of the wax top paired with the artwork, it really makes it feel like it's above that $25 a bottle limit.
I looked at this and thought it would be $40, $50 easily.
I looked at this and I thought, I want to buy that.
There we go. And now it's actually winning. That's how you know it's a good package. All right, well, those were our classic formats. Let's now move on to our alternative non-glass category. This category was open to anything that wasn't a traditional 750 milliliter bottle, including cans, boxes, Tetra Paks, and new this year, the box that we send the wine in, the box set. And we saw a lot of great innovation in this particular area. Ridge was, of course, our third place winner and one of the first to submit this. They've gotten rid of their traditional wooden box and replaced it with a more sustainable, lighter weight cardboard, which I know their audience will absolutely love. But we did see some other great submissions as well for these box sets. Yeah, Ridge, I think, did a fantastic job on this. The judges loved the minimalist design. They're a huge leader in using good materials beyond the glass.
And what I also really loved about this design submission for Ridge was that they used it in a way that still fit with their brand ethos. It doesn't feel out of realm for them. It still feels very classic, very clean. It makes sense for Ridge.
It's a $275 box, but I mean, looking at the package itself, yeah, I see that completely. In second place, we have Bonnie Doon Vineyard with their new paper cardboard bottle. I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's Bonnie Doon.
And I think that this one, I mean, apart from being so cutting edge, being the first to make a cardboard bottle, I think that the design of it, it's fun. It's got that whimsy to it. It makes me feel like I'm going to have a good time when I'm drinking it.
I mean, there's an alien, atop the label, and that's fitting for the brand, but Carbon Nay, that's pretty clever to showcase the sustainability of this package and the versatility of it as well. I mean, I'm that person who went to Yosemite with a glass bottle and broke it in the street and was sitting there picking out all the pieces because I didn't want a deer to step on it.
You wouldn't have that problem with this bottle.
Would not have that problem. And that's what I love about it, right? It's taking wine to an occasion that it wouldn't normally be part of.
Plus, I think that versatility, along with the humor that they've used, is really going to appeal to the younger consumer.
Absolutely. And then in first place in our alternative non-glass category, we have Elemental wines with a 750 milliliter aluminum bottle.
Now, I really loved the use of color on this one. I'm a big color person. I'm always looking for something to catch my eye in the wine aisle. And I loved every color that they chose for this series. But I do want to point out the blue that they used because it's not a usual choice for this wine and it really grabs your eye.
Well, and everything's so fitting too. These are visual cues that help the consumer understand what they're purchasing, understand that there are different varieties within the series. Now, the gold for the Chardonnay was our first place winner, but we also included the other three to show just how well done this package was. All of them were rated very highly, very informational on the back. And reusable too. I mean, I wouldn't mind carrying that bottle around and using it as a water bottle.
You'd certainly get some funny looks at the gym.
Oh my gosh, I need to now.
Now you do.
So well done, Bogle.
Yes, congratulations.
All right, on to our next category.
All right, so our redesign. This is one of my personal favorite categories to write about for the Packaging Spotlight because you get to see the metamorphosis of these labels. For our third place today is the Domaine Anderson 2022 Pinot Noir. I loved how they took this bottle and gave it a almost, an elegant remodel. I think the use of the silvery gray is a very modern interpretation, and it makes it feel cleaner and more up to date.
We talk about with package redesigns either a revolution or an evolution, and some work for some brands and some don't, but this was a complete revolution. I mean, it's very different than the original design that you see on the left. And I think I agree with Sarah. It works completely. It's stylish. It's modern. I have to look a little bit closer to see all of that embossing and see all of that beautiful leather A. And I think the new label really conveys that $55 price point far more than, I hate to say, a duller brown color in the before.
I would agree. And what's more interesting is that one of our judges thought that this was a more subtle and understated iteration of the label. And I agree with that. And it's not always a bad thing to be simpler, to be more subtle. Sometimes that elegance comes through much easier when you have a much simpler label.
Yeah, it's a good luxury cue. In second place, we have Barra, who has simplified their name from Barra of Mendocino. And what I love about this is it hits all of the key luxury cues. Black, gold, foil embossing, very elegant, very refined. I do love the addition of the copper to the label to add some complexity and some texture. It's simplified that label a lot. I understand the leaves that they're showing here. And what's interesting is that they didn't use a capsule on this one, which we typically do see for some of our higher end price point wines. This is a $28 bottle, so it can kind of get away without that capsule, but the label itself makes it look like it would normally cost a little bit more than $28.
Definitely. I want to touch on your comment about the colors for the leaves. To me, the combination of the deep black bottle, the black label, the elegance of this design with the coloring of the metallic on the leaves, it feels like something I want to bring out at a Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas supper. It feels like it is something to be brought out for an occasion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in our first place, the Lassiter L'Homme du Sage. I cannot speak enough about how great I think this redesign is.
Oh, I love this one too.
You know, the bottle on the left, the before, does stand out, right? It has very bright yellow, purple characters to it. But the new redesign, I still get that old vine, the gnarly old vine with the way that they've included it here. I still get high-end quality cues. The logo up in the top corner conveys the moon, right? There's just so much information conveyed about this wine with the new label, including the variety that's inside. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how they brought that, that modern interpretation of the old vine that you mentioned, but they're still true to their roots. Like, you mentioned the design in the corner representing the moon. That was actually a logo designed by the winery owner himself. And so I think it's really sweet that they've kept it on, and it's really staying true to who they are as a brand. And the information on the back. I loved how they changed their back label to not only include more information on the field blend that goes into this wine, but really just giving you more of a sneak peek into the history and the character of the wine itself.
Yeah. For $125, this makes absolute sense. Yeah. Just looking at the bottle, I would want to pick it up off the shelf. I would be willing to pay that $125
easily
for it. All right. Those were all of our redesigns. Let's now move into our next category. Luxury. Luxury was a category open to all 750 milliliter bottles that were priced above $50. And here's where we see a lot of the new trends that come out in packaging, right? For bottles that are priced a little bit higher, we have the opportunity to do something a little bit extra with these. And we definitely see that with our third place winner, Flint Knoll Spring Mountain. This is a masterclass in etching.
Just looking at the designs on this, I'm immediately brought back to, the court of King Louis XIV, the Sun King. I'm a history nerd, so apologies for any references, but it just feels so decadent, so expensive, so luxurious. And I love how they incorporated the different colors with having the Flint Knoll stand out in that beautiful copper color.
Oh, I just want to rub my fingers over it.
Oh, I know. It feels like it would be a really nice texture.
It's an experience, right? It's not just for your eyes, but your hands as well, which is really nice. And then what I do love here, it's subtle, and one of our judges pointed it out as well, is that they include the number of barrels produced rather than cases to help add exclusivity. For $825, exclusivity is something I'm definitely looking for if I'm a consumer for this. And by including barrels instead of cases, that was a really smart choice to help add to that.
Very smart. There is one thing that I don't particularly like about this design, Erin.
What?
It's too pretty to throw out. I would hate having to recycle this bottle. I mean, it's like throwing away a piece of art.
I mean, you could turn it into a candle.
Oh,
right?
you could turn it into
that.
a vase. So many uses.
All right. Our second place winner, Alzora Zinfandel from Kanpai Wines. Kanpai did it again. I mean, they are excellent at using unexpected colors, unexpected graphics, but all of them which accurately represent their brand and the owners of this company. I mean, how often do we see blue and silver on a luxury package? It's typically black and gold. But they just said, no, this is what makes sense for our Zinfandel. We're going to go with the blue, and it's evocative. It stands out. And I love the use of the bikini label on the bottom to convey some of the more traditional information we would expect from a wine bottle.
And I think also using that bikini label at the bottom, it creates more dimension to the bottle rather than putting it all in one label together. It makes it feel even more, upscale. I wrote an article about Kanpai's wine, the Fayanosuke, if I'm correct. It was their dessert wine that featured the harvest moon and the rabbit legend from Japanese folklore. And I just love how they bring their culture and their history in with them. And again, with that use of the teal is just stunning.
Wonderful. Great job, Kanpai. And in first place, we have the Nathan Coombs Estate from Paul Hobbs Winery, a 2021 red blend for $70. Very clean, very mysterious. There's a nice little mystique that is evoked with, it looks like fog and the blue and silver tones, almost painterly in a way.
And I really loved the use of the gold foil accent on the leaf. It creates that dimension with the blue, and it really to me, that looks like a leaf. Like, I feel like I could reach out and grab that right off of the label. Pairing the gold in the leaf with the gold in the lettering, I think is a very smart choice as well.
Absolutely. And I know this is a part of a series as well. So each label has something that's just a little bit different. And I think that really works for something like this, with a red blend standing out just a little bit from its brothers and sisters.
I agree.
Wonderful. On to our next category.
All right, another package series. As we mentioned before, the Paul Hobbs is part of a package series, as is our third place contestant today, the AVA series from Ken Wright Cellars up in Oregon. Now, I am actually doing a bit of research right now for this duo, and I am geeking out over the detail and the intricacies that they've brought into the label, giving you more of that geological history of the mother soil and the terroir that is going into these two Pinot Noirs. Our judges agreed. They thought it was much like a high school geology textbook. And I just think it's very fun. It's very evocative, and it tells you so much about the wine in the bottle.
Us wine geeks, we talk about dirt all the time. So much. And it's so nice to see that reflected on the label, right? We quite often see the vine or the leaf or the grapes themselves, but to actually see the dirt that these are grown in, that's really exciting to me. I'm a dirt nerd. I'm the one who actually picks up some of the dirt and, licks it just to kind of get a feel for the taste and what that could possibly bring. But what I do love about these is that they stand out on their own. As a series, they work well together as well, right? You can have one, both, and they work.
Yeah, they're sisters, not twins,
right?
As the saying goes. Yeah. No, it works very well.
So well done to Ken Wright Cellars.
Yes.
In second place, we have Scenic Wines in Can. As you can see, one of our judges said these labels are stunning, and that was my first thought as well.
Mine too.
They are beautiful watercolor images that show you kind of where you should be drinking, right? Go out and drink in the view is their motto.
Command, the judges,
command, right? You have to go out and drink these wines.
And I want to. I look at these cans and I immediately start planning my next camping trip. I want to be drinking these, on a mountain range. I want to be drinking these at the beach. I think it pairs wine with a sort of outdoorsy lifestyle that we haven't seen before. And I think it's very exciting to kind of expand those horizons.
Well done to Scenic. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Now all I want to do is go to the beach.
Yep.
Yeah. And in first place, we have Native Hands. This is an incredible homage to their Native American heritage. Again, each of these bottles stands out on their own with beautiful imagery that really conveys the full brand message, the brand heritage. but they're almost like a collector series. I want each one of them. You were talking about the Flint Knoll and not wanting to throw that bottle away. I want to do the same thing with these. I want to turn them into vases or candles or do something with each of these labels because they're beautiful pieces of artwork. They make you want to pick the bottle up and take a closer look. They're great from afar, but detailed as well. So you have a little bit to play with there in terms of, viewing these bottles.
Yes, I agree. Looking at these, it almost kind of reminds me of some of my favorite designs for book covers, where you do have to have that, that related thread that goes through all the different books in a series. And I think they do this so well. It, again, is a sisters, not twins situation. I mean, this is a sextuplet situation. But I think that they just pair everything so well together. The imagery is gorgeous, the colors are gorgeous, and they just did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. So those were all of our judges' categories. Now we actually need to throw it to the People's Choice Awards. Can you tell us a little bit more about People's Choice?
Yes. So I particularly love People's Choice because it gives you guys the opportunity to tell us what you really like about these designs. And I mean, after all, the consumer is going to be the one calling the final win on these designs. So it's very important for us to know what the consumer, what the public really like about these designs. So for our classic format, we had the Tiny Vineyards Eclipse. I particularly really liked this one, especially with the Eclipse last year. I thought it was very relevant, very kind of sciencey, again, kind of going back to the Ken Wright Cellars. It kind of brings out that science geek. And I think it's just a very clever use of their design.
Well, it's fitting. I mean, we talk about terroir and the vintage and all of the different weather patterns and Mother Nature and all the things that went into this particular wine vintage. And I mean, that year, all we could talk about was the eclipse. So, I mean, of course, we should put that on the label. That was a key portion of it. And what's really exciting for me is from afar, it stands out and I automatically know what it is. It's inviting me to go a little bit closer and to look at it. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. And I believe the owner took that image himself or that series of images himself and compiled it. So, I mean, I love that little extra bit of like trivia there too. Right?
No, it's very fun. And it really, it makes you feel a little bit more connected to the brand, knowing that trivia.
Absolutely. And just like our judges in the luxury package category, People's Choice, they voted for the Paul Hobbs, Nathan Coombs estate as well. They saw the same things that our judges did and really rewarded this package for all of its high quality, mysterious kind of clues.
And then for our package redesign, we had the J. Lore Chardonnay. Now, this is one I particularly liked because I thought that the old one, it was classic, it was clean, but bringing in a little bit more of that golden hue, a little bit more of the golden flower elements, it really, I think it speaks so much to like a rich, like, elegant Chardonnay. And I think that it's a better representation of the product.
Absolutely. It stands out more. It grabs your attention. It looks like sunshine in a bottle. And I'd also love to point out that they moved to a screw cap.
Yes.
That's really exciting. And I love the little label underneath to add more information. Everything about this just oozes a little bit more quality. I said it already, a little bit more sunshine, but that's really what I see when I look at this. It looks like it's going to be a bright, beautiful
It
Chardonnay.
looks like you're going to be happy when you're drinking it.
Yeah, right? I want that if I'm a wine drinker. I want to be happy with my Chardonnay or whatever wine it is I'm drinking. Great. Again, People's Choice agreed with our judges for the alternative non-glass category and really rewarded this Ridge packaging. I can't say enough about how beautiful that looks.
Congratulations again to Ridge. And then for our package series design, again, Paul Hobbs stood out to you guys and you were really intrigued by the use of color and the variation within the package series. I think using the different colored leaves is a very clever trick, as well as using different heights on the labels to kind of give a little bit more differentiation between the bottles.
Related, absolutely. And the detail on the leaves is spectacular. You really see it with these. I mean, I can see the little holes in the leaf, which is what you would see in a regular wine grape leaf if you were to go out into the vineyard. So well done to the Paul Hobbs and design teams. Fantastic packaging.
Yes.
All right. Last but definitely not least is our best in show. Now, to determine the best in show, we asked all of our judges to rate the first place winners in each category from 1 to 5, and whoever had the best ranking won best in show. And to me, there's no surprise that our best in show was the redesign from Lassiter Winery, L'Âme du Sage. Perfect, beautiful evolution of a wine label. You know, I said that earlier, revolution versus evolution. This is a true evolution. It feels like it's the same brand, but it's much more modern, much more stylish, much more luxurious.
Yes, I'm so glad that they won the Best in Show. I think that this was a fabulous example of a package redesign, and I can't wait to see what Lassiter brings out next. I really hope that they carry over this new era into some of their other bottlings, because I can't wait to see what artwork they pull out next.
Oh, absolutely. These are collector bottles too,
for sure.
I would think. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it for the Pack Design Awards award show. Thank you so much for joining us. The winners of the Pack Design Awards are going to be featured in more depth and more detail in the September and October issues of Wine Business Monthly. To see all of our submissions, please go to wbmpack.com. And if you're interested in submitting for next year's competition, we will have that open for you as well.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again next year.
Again, thank you to all of you for joining us. Thank you to G3 Label, to Amcor, and to Outshinery for sponsoring this. And we hope to see you next year. Thanks.
Thank you.